Joe Musso, I am Hakeem Dermish. Always an honor to be with you. One of the highest honors in the NFL, the MVP award. This year, one of the closest MVP races in NFL history.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, a simple question seemingly, but one that launched 10,000 takes. Thursday night, an answer through that honor. It was a career-elevating moment at the NFL honors for Josh Allen. The 28-year-old, your NFL MVP, the Buffalo QB, carrying his team to a 13-4 record and a fifth consecutive AFC East title. Allen becomes the first Bills QB to claim the award and the first Bill to be named MVP since 1991. Josh Allen, the league's most valuable. Allen edging out Lamar Jackson and what would have been a third MVP honor for the Raven. The result, one of the closest votes in the history of the award. Allen and Jackson separated by just 4 first-place votes. Historically, this does depart from a long-standing rule, with Allen becoming the first player since 1987 to win the award without being named a first-team All-Pro. And with reaction, we say hello to two of our best, Trent Green and Damian Harris, here to offer their thoughts on this career-affirming moment for Josh Allen. Obviously, it's an individual award in a team game, gentlemen, but it's a moment, one that elevates the name. Trent, your reaction to this final answer to the question that hung over this season?
You know, it's first off, both guys are deserving of it. They both had incredible seasons. You look at the numbers, there's historic numbers for both of them. You can back up the argument for either one. I want to know who voted for Josh Allen to be third place. There was one person voted third place. There's one voter didn't even put Lamar Jackson in their top 3. So I want to find out who those 2 voters are, because that's pretty phenomenal. But getting back to Josh Allen and the type of season he had, you know, the thing that impresses me most about him, he came in his rookie year. He completed around 53% of his passes. He continued to work and improve his game. The next year was just shy of 60% completion. And then after that, his career really took off in year number 3 in terms of his career in the NFL. He's always been a dynamic player in terms of the run and the pass. But really this season, everything culminated, got together, 12 rushing touchdowns on the season. His ability to lead this team, when you look at his roster, not any other All-Pros on the roster, only 2, he and one other guy are the 2 Pro Bowlers. So when you consider from a talent standpoint and the fact that they were the 2 seed, they beat the Kansas City Chiefs during the regular season, an impressive year for Josh Allen, very deserving for him to win MVP.
Certainly so. I want to get to the root of the word, specifically value, in just a bit here. But Damian, your initial thought here, from 0-star recruit to league MVP, what does this moment mean for Allen?
You know, it means everything to Josh, except for beating the Kansas City Chiefs, of course. But not to get into that, but this is a huge accomplishment for Josh in his career. This shows the trajectory that his career has been on since he was drafted by the Buffalo Bills. He started as a rookie with a lot of talent, a lot of upside. But throughout his career, the one thing that plagued him was the fact that he turned the ball over, whether it was interception, whether it was fumbles, whether it was bad decision-making. Josh Allen, we weren't talking about this during the season nearly as much as we should have been. Josh Allen was not turning the football over. And when you look at this Buffalo Bills team throughout Josh Allen's career, they win when he does not turn the ball over and give it away to the other team. So the fact that he realized how important it was to keep the ball in the hands of his own team and not give it to the other team, like, that paid dividends for his entire team. And then you look at the fact of having an MVP year after losing your wide receiver 1 in Stephon Diggs, after losing your wide receiver 2 in Gabe Davis. The talent, there are a lot of good players in Buffalo. There are not a lot of great players in Buffalo. There aren't all pro guys. There aren't guys that are up for all these lucrative awards and all these prestigious awards. Josh Allen willed this team to a 13-4 regular season, a win over the Kansas City Chiefs, and almost pulled it off again in the AFC Championship. Came up just short, but you cannot speak enough to how talented Josh is, how he's matured, how he has grown in this game and become a true professional, and now solidifying himself as an MVP. Now he can put his name with those top quarterbacks, not just of current play, but of all time. You know, obviously he wants to get that Super Bowl. He wants to get over the Kansas City hump, but having that MVP in your back pocket, being the most valuable player, which he was, the V in MVP should have been double capitalized, because although you can debate whether who had a better season between him, Lamar Jackson, some other guys? Nobody was more valuable to their team, to their organization, to their city, to the community of like Josh Allen is to the Buffalo Bills. So this MVP award will skyrocket his already glaring career so far, and I just can't wait to see him to continue to improve.
I can't help but sit back and think how lucky we are to have this next generation of quarterbacks, star quarterbacks, and now one that has MVP next to the name in Josh Allen. I do want to dig a little deeper on something that both of you allude to, because it sets a precedent that the context around your numbers sometimes matter more than the numbers themselves, not just that you win a division or 12-plus games, but that you do it with relatively less talent around you than those you're running next to. Yes, I'm obviously talking about Lamar Jackson here, but no All-Pro teammates to Jackson's 6, as you alluded to, Trent. How much do you think that swayed voters towards Allen?
Well, I think it ultimately did. And when you look at the fact that Lamar Jackson was first-team All-Pro and Josh Allen was second-team All-Pro, yet when it comes to MVP voting, the voters switched it the other way and gave it to Josh Allen as the MVP. Listen, you can't take anything away from Lamar Jackson. I think if you go back to 2003, the last time there was co-MVPs, back when the scoring system for MVP was different, it was just one vote. It was who's going to win. That was Steve McNair and Peyton Manning that tied for it in 2003. So with the scoring the way that it's set up now, you get points for second, third, and so on. You knew there wasn't going to be a tie. It's almost impossible to get a tie at that point in time. But when you look at Lamar Jackson, the talent that he has around him, the guys, the other All-Pros, Derrick Henry took some of that spotlight off of the MVP voting. I think when you look at the signing of Derrick Henry, that really changed the way that teams defended Lamar Jackson. That's not to take anything away from Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's unbelievable. He's a 2-time MVP, close to being a 3-time MVP. But I think the addition of Derrick Henry, the numbers that Derrick Henry put up, the fact that Derrick Henry was in the MVP conversation until very late in the season, I think that took some of it away from Lamar Jackson and probably angled more of it in terms of the votes towards Josh Allen because of what he was having to do in terms of carrying that team. I thought Damian hit on a lot of great points. The fact that he didn't turn the ball over. Josh did a great job of protecting the football when that's been a big problem of his throughout his career. I thought when you talk about talent, that was another point that Damian brought up, and you just brought up with this question, is the talent that's around him. So that's what catapulted Josh Allen, and what I think made him the MVP is because of the surrounding talent, and then also another superstar that Lamar Jackson has in Derrick Henry.
Listen, Trent, you agree with me. I agree with you, brother. You said it. You said it all right there. I mean, when you look at it, like we all have kind of alluded to, you know, the success around Lamar Jackson, the all-pro Pro Bowl type players that he's had around him. Not only does that take away some of the attention, but people start to think, well, his numbers are so great because, again, Derrick Henry is. People are stacking guys in the box because they want to stop the run. They want to stop Derrick Henry. They want to stop Lamar Jackson's legs. Granted, he's thrown the ball better this year than he ever has, but at the end of the day, he's just playing with a lot of talent. And quite frankly, a lot of people believe a much better football team. Obviously, the Bills beat them in the playoffs, but people think that the Baltimore Ravens are a more talented team. And so that just shines the spotlight even more on Josh Allen because, again, you lose your top 2 receivers. You know, you're essentially close to being the leading rusher for your team, especially with a guy like James Cook in the backfield, without turning the ball over, always putting your offense in great position, always making sure your defense is in good spots, not turning the ball over and getting the defense back on the field after they just came off from a 3-and-out or, you know, a change of who's got the ball. You know, it really makes sense that with the lack of, I guess, support that people think that Lamar has, you know, it makes a lot of sense why Josh was able to win this award.
Tough to argue with a guy who threw it, caught it, scored it on the same play. This is a season to remember, and maybe the play that defines an MVP in this season. I do want to dig into the numbers just a little bit here because, as we said, it marks the first time since 1987 that the MVP is not a first-team All-Pro. When we look at that All-Pro voting, 23 to 27 was our MVP voting. The All-Pro voting, 30 to 18. A little bit of quick math with those 2 votes accounted to. Josh Allen will tell you that 7 voters split their vote in half, with All-Pro going to Lamar Jackson and MVP going to Josh Allen. Are we walking away from this, Damian, having a clear definition of those 2 awards? One statistically based, the other with more context needed.
Yeah, and that's the hard part. You go back and they're joining pretty elite company. You're talking about Joe Montana and John Elway. Those were the last time this ever happened, where the MVP and the first team All-Pro were different. And you're talking 2 Hall of Famers, 2 all-time greats, 2 guys that you could arguably be in the top 5 of every person's list. So when you talk about those 2 names and what Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen have accomplished this season, it's really hard to nail down what exactly the voters were thinking. We know that the voting was done before the playoffs started. So that impact, that divisional game between these 2 teams, that didn't have an impact on voting. So that means that whatever happened in those last regular season games swayed the voters, or swayed those 7 voters that you're talking about that gave from first team All-Pro quarterback to MVP for Josh Allen. It'd be interesting to see. I know we won't find out who exactly those 7 votes switched to, but what an intriguing season. What a phenomenal season. I just wish both guys could be awarded, because really, when you look at historically, they historically had some numbers that no one's ever put up before at the quarterback position. And not only from a throwing standpoint, but both of them doing it with their legs. Lamar Jackson had nearly 1,000 yards rushing. Josh Allen had 12 rushing touchdowns. We're talking about numbers that are historic in every sense of the word.
All right, fellas, we appreciate you stopping by here, because this was something that captivated the NFL throughout the season. We finally have our answer. Josh Allen, the NFL MVP. Thank you, fellas. Here's a look at that list of Bills. Add it to the list. Josh Allen, 2024, getting it done here with a number that statistically perhaps fell short of Lamar Jackson's, but in every other way, he excelled, he led, and he was valuable.